Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure unboxing video, and I am actually pretty excited for today's figure. Not only has this been a figure that we have been wanting to be re-released for a long time, but this is actually something that I have wanted in my collection for a little bit now. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Dragon Ball Z Master Stars piece, the Trunks. Yes, for some reason this line calls everything the and then the name of the character. I don't know why. Dragon Ball Z Manga Dimensions. Obviously, this figure is part of the Master Stars piece line. I'm sure that you guys may be familiar from me talking about this line before. I specifically talked about a different variation of this line. By the way, I love the windowed packaging, just have to point that out. The Super Master Stars piece line is also another line that I have taken a part of indulging in some YouTube shenanigans with in the past. And with that line, basically it's just a bigger version of this one. This one is just a little bit of a scaled down version of the Super Master Stars piece line, which is pretty cool because obviously then the figure isn't, you know, ginormous, which I mean, it's always fun getting giant figures, but at the same time, you know, you run out of space eventually. Also, it's interesting, too, because sometimes they do the... camera, you good, dog? Are you good, bro? Sometimes they do this, like, windowed packaging. There we go. Sorry, it's a little dusty. It's been kind of sitting on the floor for a little bit. But sometimes they do this windowed packaging. It's not actually like a window. It's just, like, hollow, basically. So props to them for actually putting plastic there, even though I guess that's sort of killing the trees. But, hey! Cool for making me happy. And making it look cool. Anyway, cracking into this bad boy. This figure, like I said, is actually quite old. It released a long time ago, originally, when the Master Stars piece figures were first releasing. And I actually had no real idea about collecting Dragon Ball figures back during that time. And ever since I found out about it when I got into collecting Dragon Ball figures, I was like, man, I would really love to get some of these figures because they're really cool, right? And so, thankfully, over time, Bandai has been releasing... Why is this so stuck? Might have to go through the bottom. No, well, I forgot the bottom looks like that. Basically, over time, Bandai has been re-releasing some old figures from a couple of their different lines. There we go. And this was one of them. Now, why Trunks specifically right now, I don't really know. I don't think there's any particular rhyme or reason. But that's who they decided to go with, and I'm honestly not complaining because... Funny enough, I don't think I have a single base form Trunks figure? That doesn't sound right, but I think that that may actually be correct. Now, this is really cool. I know it's hard to see it with this plastic. Funny enough that I was just talking about a moment ago. Will you fall if I put you there? No. What's really cool about this, I can turn off this light so there's a little bit less reflection. What's awesome about this is that there is actually a little... I guess you would call this diorama, a little scene in there where Trunks is basically standing on a cliffside, which is really cool. And obviously this is sort of stylized like the cliffs in Dragon Ball Z, which is cool. And actually this little piece that's on the top is blue, so then that way, like if you're looking in and up, it just kind of looks like the sky. So very cool. I like that the Master Stars piece boxes do this, because then that way as well, you could take the figure out and then just kind of stand it in the box if you wanted like an easy display option and you didn't want to get rid of the box. So very cool stuff. It's just a nice touch for the figure as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and take our man out of the clamshell. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the term Manga Dimensions, you will be after this video. It is one of my personal favorite, I guess you would call it figure classifications, so to speak. The Manga Dimensions line basically makes a version of a figure where they sort of look like they have a manga art style. That's sort of the idea behind the Manga Dimensions line. Now, I know that the paint job is not for everybody, for certain. I have met different collectors that are like, ew, that looks disgusting. And I have met some collectors that are like, wow, that looks sick. For me personally, I am definitely in the latter category. But if it's not for you, that is definitely understandable. I can understand how this would just be kind of a gimmick for some people. Alright, Let us raise him up after being reborn from his plastic sarcophagus. Bam 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 bam. Ooh, he's a little slimy on the bottom. That's kind of weird. Or he just has a very weird feeling to him. All right. So I think he should be able to stand on his own. Yes, he does. Oh, perfect with the halo there. Oh, maybe not. No? Okay. Let me just set you down before we take a proper look at you. I was going to say, I don't know where his stand is, but his stand is actually right here. This should just go on his foot. This is a very weird looking stand, though. I don't think the original release of this had a plastic stand. However, I am honestly not complaining, because obviously plastic stands in the modern era are absolutely the way to go when it comes to figures that just have a little foot base, so that's cool. This also looks very funny. This kind of, like, this outline of Trunks here almost just looks like a, you know, the exit signs from Portal? It kind of looks like that if they were trying to, like, draw the character after Trunks. That's what it kind of makes me think of. Alright, so his foot goes... That looks right? If the camera will focus... And apparently not. There we go. I love how it focused after I dropped the foot base. Excuse me if the camera's a little bit weird. I just had to reset my phone recently because of some issues that I was having with it. And so I think that everything should be working normal. But this is the first like unboxing video that I'm filming with it. So it does feel like a little bit of a weird fit. Let me put it on here. No, that definitely does not feel correct. I'm already nicking up the... Well, I guess his other foot is kind of... No, maybe not. Yeah, no, I guess it's just like that. It's just a very weird fit. Like, it doesn't go all the way on. And I can hear it creaking a little bit, which I don't really like. Alright, well, I guess I'll keep it on there. Oh, no, maybe it's because it just wasn't flat. Let me give him a little bop. Yeah, okay, I guess that's fine right there. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this guy up close and personal. Now, I gotta say, wow, this is pretty good. When I was first seeing this figure in the box and from pictures of looking at him with the re-release version, I was a little bit worried because I was like, oof, that face is not looking too great. But after getting to see this figure up close and personal, which, speaking of which, let's take a look at the face. I think it looks good. I think the problem is not that his face sculpt is bad. I think it's that his bangs sort of cover the top half of his eyebrows, so it almost looks like that his eyes are off in a weird position where they shouldn't be, but it's just because of how his haircut is and how the figure's hair sits over the face that makes it look like that. Like, I think that's Trunks. Like, if I had to look at that, I would say that that's Trunks. Maybe there's a tiny bit of a change that they can do, but overall I'm satisfied with that face. I think it's just the hair. Like, if you're looking at it from this, right? Like, oh my gosh. The hair is definitely doing some things to how his face looks there, for sure. Obviously, as well, again, this is also the Manga Dimensions color scheme, so sort of take a look at how you feel about this one, ladies and gentlemen, and definitely let me know. Obviously, we have these very nice purple colors here, sort of very akin to Trunks' DBZ design. The coat sculpt looks fantastic. I love the sword as well, the sword scabbard, the strap that holds it over Trunks' chest. One thing I also wanted to comment on is, wow, look at how glossy that Capsule Corp logo is on there. It's also weird because, like, not only is it kind of sticky, but it's almost like 3D on the figure. Like, you can see it's like just a big black hump. And what I do kind of like about that is that even though I think it was sewn into Trunks' jacket, that almost makes it feel more like a big patch that has been sewn onto his jacket. So I do kind of like that touch. That also might be the inner Boy Scout in me talking a little bit. Ironically enough, that this guy is kind of referred to as the Boy Scout. But yeah, this looks super cool. I wish that the sword did come out of the scabbard, and it almost kind of looks like that it does, but that is attached. You definitely cannot get that out, and there's nothing inside. I mean, it's solid, but like, you're not going to pull out a sword. You know, it's just for effect purposes. You can't really have him hold it anyway, because obviously his fists are clenched up anyway. But yeah, we have very, very nice looking sculpt. I can't see anything really wrong with the sculpt, besides the fact, like I said, with the hair. making his face look a little bit wonky. Maybe it is also the paint job too. Kind of makes his cheeks feel a little bit thin as well. I think that that is something else. Maybe they could have extended this lighter tone that's around his mouth sort of out a little bit. That is a very weird choice to like have the skin tones. Like I think over the body, right? I think these different like paint tones to try and get these different shadows and manga sort of like accurate quote unquote look with the paint job, right? I think that in the pursuit of doing that like on the clothes, right? Which I think they still do a good job of, especially on the jacket and on the pants. And the boots almost just kind of look normal, if I'm being honest. Like, they really just look like normal Trunks boots, which I think they did a fantastic job with the sculpt here, really capturing that, like, Z look for Trunks' boots, for sure. They look very, very detailed. Like, that's pretty incredible on the detail, if you ask me. But yeah, honestly, I think in pursuit of that, Trunks' skin ends up looking a little bit weird. Like, even the sword and, like, just the little accents on the sword, like that little edge right there on the sword looks really good. But yeah, it is just a little bit odd on his face, for sure. Alright, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons with this guy. Alright, having our Mighty Warrior stand proud and tall, we have our Gotenks, Ichiban Kuji, and our WCF Super Saiyan Blue Goku from the Dokkan set. And obviously, this is definitely not a figure to scoff at. He is a pretty decent size. If I'm guessing before I measure him, I'm going to say around a foot tall. But looking at him, oh, okay, so around, I'm saying that's about 10 inches. That's basically how it looks on the camera. Yeah? Nah, I would say the camera's at a pretty good angle for that. I would say basically like the 10-inch mark, maybe just short of the 10-inch mark for sure. So this figure is definitely a relatively good size. Now, even though he is a Super Master Stars piece figure and he is a pretty good size, let's see how he compares to his brother, the Super Master Stars piece line. Now, unfortunately, this really isn't going to be very well correlated in terms of like the character pick, because the only other Super Master Stars piece figure that I have, Bammo, we're gonna have to move out a little bit to get this guy in the frame, I'm thinking, is the Super Master Stars piece Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And wow, this guy is obviously quite a bit taller than Trunks. Of course, the Super Master Stars piece line is giant, right? It's huge compared to the Master Stars piece line. That is kind of the point. That's why it's called the Super Master Stars piece line. But obviously these figures do look really cool together. You can see all of the shenanigans that I was talking about with the manga dimensions coloring. Obviously it is a lot more like blatant on Goku, because of course he has a lot more bright colors in his design naturally, right? The bright yellow pants, the red / pink Super Saiyan 4 fur, right? Those yellow eyes, right? The blue accents on his fit. Whereas Trunks' colors are a lot more dark, maybe besides just like his hair, right? But they still do look pretty cool together. I would definitely like to get more Manga Dimensions figures. They don't really make them nowadays that often. In fact, I think the only time we ever get one is like the Blue Gogeta or the Bardock. Stuff like from the World Figure Coliseum from a couple years ago. We also got one from the End of Z Goku 2. So I'm hoping we definitely get more of those in the future. But moving on, I also wanted to show off another line that I thought would maybe be a little bit comparable, and I want to display this figure with this figure as well. We have the, I guess we should probably switch their places because Vegeta's sort of looking at the camera when he's standing like this. We have, well, it is also kind of weird to pose him because he's kind of like at a weird spot here, but we have the Grandista. Are you going to stand, Vegeta? Oh, perfect. He's kind of hard to stand. The Grandista base form Vegeta. Now, I'm definitely going to display Trunks with this Vegeta for sure. Obviously, he is definitely a little bit shorter than Vegeta here. And I think that obviously this is not correct, and not only do I think that it's incorrect, I definitely think the muscle mass... Oh, Vegeta almost fell. I'm so glad you're looking at the pictures, because that would have gave you a heart attack. But yeah, definitely Trunks' muscle mass should be a little bit bigger in comparison. Obviously, these figures are not from the same line, so it makes sense that they're not going to look crazy close in terms of scale. But they definitely do look very nice together. Obviously, it is very cool to have the father and son duo standing next to each other. And again, it's nice to have just sort of a basic pose Trunks for the collection. I do like to have one Dragon Ball figure that is just sort of like a basic pose for them, or like a power-up pose or something like that, and then go crazy with all of the other poses, because I just think that that's pretty cool. Maybe just to have like all the Z fighters lined up, stuff like that. It'd be cool to get them all in the manga dimensions. I don't know if they would ever even do that. Like, could you imagine Krillin's bald head with that manga look? That would look so funny. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Definitely let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section below. I will, of course, leave a link in the description to where you can pick up this figure. If you do cop them from Amazon, I do get a little bit of an extra cut with no extra cost to you. Do keep in mind, and this is the one thing that I want to tell you before you make the jump to get this figure, I have bought figures that are bigger than this, including that Vegeta that may or may not still be on the screen. Obviously, the images are going by your beautiful eyeballs. This figure was, I believe, 50 bucks. Typically, the Manga Dimensions figures are more expensive. The Super Master Stars Piece figures are typically really expensive, and the regular Master Stars Piece figures are pretty expensive as well. So, that is one thing that you do want to keep in mind. I do not mind paying this much for this figure because, again, I like the color scheme. I like the way that the figure turned out, right? And I think that if you are okay with paying that much money for the figure, then you will be happy with this figure too. But if that is a little bit too much for your wallet, I think that that is definitely a sign that it is a alright figure for you to pass for sure. Again, this is not a figure for everybody, especially with the paint job, but if you think that it is your thing, definitely go ahead and pick it up. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Always trying to grow this channel and get it to get big, because I love doing these figure unboxings, and it would not be possible without all of your support. So thank you guys so much for that. It has been awesome to see this channel grow so far, and if you would like to support me on the old Patreon as well, you can definitely do so. The Patreon is exclusively for unboxing stuff and supporting my figure addiction at this point, basically. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Dokkan Assets out. Peace! My chair broke again.